In today's world, understanding the dynamics of relationships is more crucial than ever. One aspect that often goes unnoticed is the presence of manipulative behavior, particularly from women. Manipulative women tend to employ subtle yet powerful tactics to control and influence those around them, especially men. Recognizing these behaviors is essential for men who want to maintain healthy relationships and avoid falling into harmful patterns. In this video, we'll explore 7 key traits of manipulative women that men must know. These traits are often hidden beneath the surface, but they can have a significant impact on a man's life, mentally, emotionally, and even socially. Whether you're dating, in a relationship, or even reflecting on past experiences, understanding these traits will empower you to recognize warning signs early and protect yourself from being manipulated. Manipulative women often rely on subtle tactics like emotional blackmail, gaslighting, and the withholding of affection to exert control. They may appear charming or innocent, but their true intentions can be deceptive. In this video, we'll break down each of these traits, offering clear examples, practical insights, and actionable strategies to help you identify these behaviors and maintain a sense of personal power. Whether you're seeking clarity in your relationships or simply want to understand the subtle red flags, this video is designed to give you the tools to navigate and avoid manipulative patterns. Let's dive in and explore how you can protect your well-being and build healthier connections. Number 1. Charm and deceptive innocence. Manipulative women often rely on charm and deceptive innocence as their primary tools to gain control over those around them. They have a knack for presenting themselves as kind, sweet, and harmless, often appearing as the picture of innocence, which can be incredibly disarming. Their behavior is typically marked by a facade of vulnerability, making it difficult for others to discern their true intentions. These women are skilled at cultivating an image of someone who is gentle, nurturing, and innocent, which allows them to lower their target's defenses. By adopting this seemingly genuine and innocent persona, they create an environment where others are more likely to trust them without question. This deceptive charm works particularly well in personal and romantic relationships. A manipulative woman might come across as the perfect partner, caring, attentive, and understanding, making it hard for men to suspect any ulterior motives. However, beneath this seemingly innocent exterior lies a manipulative agenda. They often use their perceived vulnerability to elicit sympathy and empathy, which they later exploit to their advantage. For instance, they may position themselves as victims, claiming they are misunderstood or mistreated, thus making others feel compelled to rescue or protect them. The charm becomes a powerful weapon when paired with emotional manipulation. These women know how to evoke emotions such as guilt, pity, and obligation, which keeps their targets emotionally tied to them. By presenting themselves as harmless and fragile, they redirect attention away from any accountability for their actions, positioning themselves as the perpetual victim. This tactic often leaves men confused and unsure of whether their concerns are valid or if they are merely overthinking, thus undermining their confidence and clarity. In social or professional settings, charm and deceptive innocence work in much the same way. A manipulative woman may use her allure to charm colleagues or superiors, creating an image of someone who is sweet, helpful, and cooperative. This enables her to gain influence and access to resources that others might struggle to obtain. By cloaking herself in this facade, she subtly shifts perceptions, often leaving others wondering how they could have ever doubted her intentions. The charm is not accidental. It's carefully cultivated to ensure that she maintains control and keeps others emotionally or socially tethered to her. Ultimately, charm and deceptive innocence are powerful tools that manipulative women employ to manipulate and control those around them. By fostering an image of vulnerability and helplessness, they create an illusion of trust and reliability that is difficult to unravel. Understanding this trait is crucial, as it helps men and others recognize when they are being drawn into relationships that may be less genuine than they appear on the surface. Number 2. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is a key tactic often employed by manipulative women to exert control over others, particularly men. At its core, emotional manipulation involves exploiting a person's emotions, such as guilt, fear, shame, and empathy, to achieve personal goals. Manipulative women are adept at making others feel responsible for their emotional well-being, often shifting blame or creating a sense of obligation. They may use guilt-tripping as a tool, making men feel as though their actions or decisions have caused harm or discomfort, even if that's not the reality. For example, they might make a man feel guilty for setting boundaries, withdrawing attention, or prioritizing his own needs, framing it as a lack of care or consideration for them. By evoking guilt, they manipulate men into fulfilling their desires or adhering to their expectations, often at the expense of the man's own emotional well-being. Another common strategy involves playing the victim role. A manipulative woman might exaggerate hardships or portray herself as constantly misunderstood or mistreated, creating a narrative that others should come to her aid. This often leads men to feel responsible for their partner's emotional state, encouraging them to take on the role of the caretaker. The emotional burden is subtly shifted onto the man, making him feel obligated to provide comfort, attention, or solutions regardless of his own needs or desires. This can erode a man's sense of autonomy and self-worth, as he becomes trapped in a cycle of trying to meet someone else's emotional demands. In some cases, manipulative women use emotional blackmail, where they threaten to withdraw affection or create emotional distance to control behavior. For instance, they may use silent treatment or passive-aggressive actions, leaving the man unsure of what has gone wrong, but certain that something has shifted. This creates a sense of fear or insecurity, making men hesitant to assert their own boundaries or make decisions that could displease their partner. The emotional manipulation thrives on creating doubt, making the target question their thoughts, feelings, and actions, thus undermining their confidence and clarity. Furthermore, these women are often skilled at creating emotional dependencies. They may foster a sense of dependency on their presence or validation, leading men to believe that their happiness or well-being is tied to their approval. By doing so, they diminish a man's independence and self-sufficiency, creating a dynamic where the man feels trapped or reliant on the manipulative partner. The result is an unhealthy relationship built on imbalance and emotional control, where one person's needs consistently outweigh the others. In essence, emotional manipulation is a powerful tool that manipulative women use to gain control and maintain influence. Recognizing these behaviors is essential for men seeking to maintain healthy relationships, as they allow individuals to reclaim their emotional autonomy and navigate connections with greater awareness and self-respect. Number 3. Gaslighting tactics. Gaslighting is a subtle yet highly effective tactic used by manipulative women to undermine a man's confidence and distort his perception of reality. The goal of gaslighting is to make the target question their own thoughts, memories, and sense of self, creating doubt and confusion. A manipulative woman might start by denying or downplaying the reality of situations, making the man question whether he is overreacting or imagining things. For example, if a man confronts a manipulative partner about something that bothers him, she might respond with dismissiveness or insist that it didn't happen the way he remembers. "You're imagining things," or "that's not how it went," becomes a common refrain, leading the man to doubt his own memory and judgment. Over time, this creates a cycle where the man starts to believe that his perceptions and feelings are unreliable, which reinforces the manipulative woman's control over him. Gaslighting can also involve distorting events or creating false narratives. A manipulative woman might fabricate stories, exaggerate situations, or create scenarios that make the man feel confused and uncertain. She may insist that things happened in a way that didn't align with reality, forcing him to question his own sanity. For instance, if he brings up a past argument or disagreement, she might insist he's mistaken about what was said or done, further destabilizing his confidence. This makes the man feel as though his memories are faulty or irrelevant, gradually eroding his self-assurance. Another common gaslighting tactic is denying a man's emotions or experiences altogether. If a man expresses frustration, sadness, or discomfort, a manipulative woman may dismiss his feelings, insisting they are irrational or exaggerated. "You're overreacting," or "that's not a big deal," becomes a way of invalidating his emotions, leaving him feeling isolated and misunderstood. This creates a sense of isolation as the man begins to believe that no one truly understands him or validates his experiences. Over time, he may withdraw, becoming unsure of what is real and what isn't, believing that his emotional responses are faulty or unreasonable. Gaslighting also thrives on isolation, as manipulative women often seek to disconnect the man from others who might offer support or alternate perspectives. They might discourage him from discussing concerns with friends or family, claiming those outside influences are unreliable or biased. By keeping the man emotionally dependent and doubting his own judgment, they maintain control over his thoughts and actions. Ultimately, gaslighting creates a toxic environment where the man feels powerless, confused, and uncertain, leaving him vulnerable to further manipulation. Recognizing gaslighting tactics is crucial for men seeking to protect their mental clarity and sense of self. Awareness of these behaviors allows individuals to identify when their reality is being distorted, giving them the tools to assert their own autonomy and protect their mental well-being. Number 4. Passive-aggressive behavior. Passive-aggressive behavior is a common tactic used by manipulative women to express dissatisfaction, frustration, or resentment in a way that is indirect and difficult to confront. Instead of addressing issues openly and directly, they employ subtle, underhanded methods that create confusion and leave the other person feeling unsure of how to respond. One of the most prevalent forms of passive aggressiveness is sarcasm. A manipulative woman might use sarcastic comments to mask her true feelings, pretending to be light-hearted while conveying bitterness or criticism. For example, she might make backhanded compliments like, "Oh, that's a great idea, if you like things that way," or "You always know how to handle things, don't you?" These remarks are designed to undermine the other person's confidence while appearing harmless or playful. Another form of passive-aggressive behavior is the use of the silent treatment. When confronted with a disagreement or issue, a manipulative woman may refuse to engage in direct communication, instead withdrawing emotionally or physically. By ignoring a partner, she creates a sense of confusion and insecurity, leaving the man unsure of what he did wrong or how to mend things. The silent treatment serves as a means of punishment, subtly making the man feel guilty or responsible without any clear explanation. This behavior is intended to make him feel isolated, leading to self-doubt and uncertainty about the relationship. Guilt tripping is another hallmark of passive aggressiveness. A manipulative woman might use phrases like, "I guess I'm just not important enough for you to care," or "I guess I'll handle it since you're too busy." These comments evoke guilt, making the man feel responsible for her unhappiness or shortcomings, even when they're not directly at fault. The intention is to shift the blame and control the situation by making him feel emotionally obligated to fix things. In addition, she may employ backhanded demands, such as, "It's fine if you don't want to help, I'll just do it myself," reinforcing a sense of self-sufficiency while leaving the man feeling excluded. Passive-aggressive behavior also extends to procrastination and forgetfulness, where a manipulative woman delays or avoids responsibilities in a way that frustrates others. She might fail to meet deadlines, ignore requests, or leave tasks incomplete, creating a sense of incompetence or carelessness while subtly blaming the other person. For example, if a man asks her to take care of a chore, she might deliberately forget or put it off, only to remind him of how unreliable he is for not stepping in. This reinforces feelings of frustration and undermines trust and accountability. Ultimately, passive-aggressive behavior thrives on subtlety, making it difficult to identify and address. It leaves the target feeling lost and unsure, often wondering if they are overreacting or if they have misinterpreted the situation. Recognizing these patterns is essential for men seeking healthier relationships, as they allow for clear communication and the establishment of boundaries, preventing manipulation and fostering mutual respect. Number 5. Exploiting vulnerabilities. Exploiting vulnerabilities is a key tactic used by manipulative women to gain control over others, especially men. Vulnerabilities come in many forms: emotional, personal, or even situational, and manipulative women have a keen ability to identify and exploit these weaknesses to their advantage. They often seek out areas where men may feel insecure or uncertain, using those insecurities as leverage to maintain control and influence. For instance, a manipulative woman may target a man's emotional vulnerability, such as his desire for approval, acceptance, or reassurance. If a man feels uncertain about his worth or fears rejection, a manipulative woman might present herself as the one who can provide validation and affection. This creates a dynamic where the man feels dependent on her for emotional support and reassurance, which she then uses to control him. She might exploit his need for affirmation by withholding attention, praise, or affection, ensuring that he remains fixated on trying to win her approval or meet her expectations. Similarly, manipulative women often exploit a man's personal vulnerabilities, such as his insecurities about his appearance, success, or relationships. If a man feels insecure about his looks or career, a manipulative woman might make subtle comments designed to reinforce those insecurities. For example, she may express doubt about his abilities or appearance, subtly suggesting that he is not enough. Over time, these remarks wear down his confidence, making him more reliant on her validation. In doing so, she ensures that his focus remains on pleasing her, rather than pursuing his own goals or desires. This exploitation reinforces a sense of dependence, as the man begins to see his worth as tied to her approval. In some cases, a manipulative woman might exploit situational vulnerabilities, such as a man's emotional state following a breakup, a loss, or a period of hardship. During these times, men may be more susceptible to feelings of loneliness, sadness, or confusion. A manipulative woman may step in, offering comfort or support, only to later use that vulnerability to establish dominance. For instance, if a man is recovering from a breakup, she might position herself as the only source of support, making him believe that he needs her to feel whole again. Once she secures that emotional foothold, she can begin exerting control, ensuring that his dependence on her grows stronger over time. Ultimately, exploiting vulnerabilities is a manipulative strategy aimed at keeping others emotionally tied and dependent. Recognizing this behavior is essential for men seeking healthy relationships, as it helps them build awareness, establish boundaries, and protect their emotional well-being from being exploited. Number 6. Playing the victim. Playing the victim is a powerful tactic frequently used by manipulative women to gain sympathy, control, and emotional leverage over others, especially men. These women position themselves as perpetual victims, often exaggerating or fabricating hardships, challenges, or injustices they have supposedly endured. By doing so, they elicit sympathy and attention from others, especially those they perceive as emotionally vulnerable or empathetic. The manipulative woman creates a narrative that reinforces her role as the victim, making it difficult for others to question her accounts or motivations. For instance, she might portray herself as constantly misunderstood, mistreated, or oppressed by external circumstances, often blaming others for her misfortunes. This creates a sense of moral superiority, making men feel obligated to provide care, protection, and validation. A manipulative woman playing the victim often exploits guilt and empathy. She may recount tales of hardship, betrayal, or mistreatment in ways that evoke pity and compassion from those around her. By positioning herself as someone who is constantly suffering or being taken advantage of, she creates an illusion of helplessness, leaving others to believe they need to step in and rescue her. For example, she might describe a string of failed relationships, blaming others for their shortcomings while portraying herself as the one who has been wronged. This narrative fosters a dependency on others to offer comfort, while subtly maintaining control by ensuring others remain invested in her emotional state. Another key aspect of playing the victim is the constant need for attention and validation. Manipulative women who adopt this role tend to seek out situations where they can portray themselves as innocent or oppressed. They may exaggerate small grievances into major injustices, exaggerating emotions or creating false scenarios that reinforce their status as victims. For example, they might claim to be neglected, misunderstood, or unappreciated, making others feel responsible for their perceived emotional distress. By doing so, they create an environment where others feel guilty for not providing the care or attention they believe they deserve. Playing the victim can also involve shifting blame onto others. A manipulative woman might claim that others are the source of her problems, often blaming external circumstances or individuals for her unhappiness. This tactic ensures that responsibility for her life's challenges is placed on others, leaving them unsure of how to respond and often feeling guilty or obligated to assist. It fosters a dynamic where the man feels conflicted, unsure if he should support or challenge her, creating confusion and a lack of clarity in the relationship. Ultimately, playing the victim is a manipulative strategy designed to elicit sympathy, control others, and maintain dominance. Recognizing these patterns is crucial for men seeking healthier relationships, as they help identify when they are being drawn into relationships based on false narratives and emotional manipulation. Awareness allows individuals to set boundaries, protect their emotional well-being, and ensure that their relationships are grounded in mutual respect and honesty. Number 7. Withholding attention and affection. Withholding attention and affection is a common manipulative tactic used by women to exert control and create emotional dependence in relationships. By intentionally withdrawing affection, whether physical or emotional, they make the other person feel uncertain, confused, and anxious. This creates a dynamic where the manipulative woman remains in control of the emotional connection, while the other person becomes preoccupied with trying to regain her attention or affection. The goal is to make the man feel that his worth or significance is tied to her approval, which leaves him feeling unsure of his place in the relationship. For example, a manipulative woman might withhold praise, compliments, or physical affection, leaving the man to feel as though his efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated. This creates a sense of longing and desperation, causing the man to seek her approval in an attempt to feel valued. By withholding affection, these women manipulate emotions in a way that fosters insecurity. A man may begin to feel uncertain about his place in the relationship, unsure if his partner still cares for him or if something is wrong. This uncertainty often leads to behaviors like increased effort to gain approval, excessive apologies, or attempts to please her, further reinforcing her control. The manipulative woman knows that withholding affection makes the man feel unworthy and creates a sense of scarcity, where he believes he needs to work harder to earn back her attention. In some cases, withholding attention takes the form of the silent treatment or passive-aggressive behavior. A manipulative woman might deliberately ignore or exclude the man from conversations or emotionally distance herself during times of conflict. This passive withholding ensures that the man feels isolated and uncertain, unsure of whether he has done something wrong or if the relationship is in jeopardy. By creating this sense of emotional distance, she maintains power and keeps the man emotionally tied to her in hopes of winning back her attention and affection. The effect of withholding attention and affection is often a breakdown in trust and communication. The man may become fearful of expressing his needs or concerns, worrying that doing so will further alienate his partner. Over time, this can lead to a relationship built on imbalance, where the manipulative woman controls the emotional connection while the man feels disconnected, insecure, and unsure of his worth. Recognizing this behavior is critical for men, as it allows them to set boundaries, maintain self-worth, and ensure they are not emotionally exploited in relationships.